The Black Panther Party was formed in the year 1966, after a new generation of young activists arose after seeing weaknesses in the civil rights movement, along with their youthful enthusiasm and frustration with systematic racial issues and police brutality against blacks. The Black Panther Party have four main objectives: equal education, equality in housing, better opportunities to build a financial infrastructure, and civil rights. The Black Panther Party's main objective was to simply receive the proper payment African Americans were due from slavery that set blacks back hundreds of years and placed whites in high positions of privilege. The main objective of the party was to receive the foundation for blacks to provide for themselves independently of public resources and federal assistance. They argued that the more control government has in the black community, the more it can control and inhibit the progress of African Americans.
That children that didn't have a good breakfast in the morning were less attentive at school and less inclined to do well and suffered from fatigue. I mean, there was all sorts of scientific reasons to have a good breakfast in the morning. And we just simply took that information and a program was developed serving breakfast to children.
After my father came home from Vietnam and was discharged from the Army and couldn't get work, we were going through a very hard time. Food was kind of, the everyday necessities were hard. I was embarrassed to go, but when you went, kids are all laughing. And then all of a sudden the stigma, or whatever you thought was a stigma, went away. And you really got to see that, yes, this is what the Black Panthers are.
We were showing love for our people. If you have a child, if you know that, hey, these men and women are gonna feed my child in the morning, that's a big deal.
The breakfast program actually really caught on. It served about 20,000 meals a week to young people in 19 different communities.
If the United States government controlled the education, housing, businesses, and public resources in black communities, and thus controlled the narrative of blacks through education, they will remain in complete control of the community. The Panthers asked for the ability for blacks to be able to own their own businesses, educate themselves, defend themselves, and to police their own communities. However, they asked the government to provide housing in which African Americans could grow their own food, thus having the ability to control their own diet and create their own markets to have its own food economy. Essentially, the Black Panthers felt as though the United States was controlling black communities through limiting their powers and dictating what they were allowed to control. And they wanted to take that power into their own hands and empower its people.
Support some of our programs, is that what you're saying?
Why not?
And you believe in programs like the Breakfast for Children program and free health clinics? Right on, brothers?
We believe they're good things.
Uh-huh.
As a focal point to organize their mothers and fathers.
Uh-huh.
Peace.
Mm-hmm. There's no educational program here?
That's come out of the social action thing. You set that up, brother. I mean, we can't put everything on one piece of paper.
What about this bank?
Credit union?
Mm-hmm.
Credit union. Credit union, my brother.
Is a bank.
Are you hip to credit unions? It is a bank.
Yeah, you go and borrow money?
Yeah, it's a bank. It's a bank. Owned by the people, run for the people, and by the people.
What will money be given out to people for?
Well, the people would decide that. You want to buy, whatever, the people in the community decide. You need some living room furniture, maybe? You need a car, maybe?
See, the thing is with me, you dig, I need to know some more about it. I wish you had some more literature about the educational thing here. Because, you dig, as far as we're concerned in the struggle, the way we look at struggle is that this depends on the educational thing, you dig? Because
this depends on the education. Well, the whole thing.
No, but in the end, this does. You can form this with no education. You can form this and this.
No, not the way we're talking about forming it. Right. We're talking about forming it right. It's not on the paper. We didn't write it on the paper.
You can form it right with no education.
No.
Let me give you an example. Jomo Kenyatta formed the excellent revolution with no education. And on the day of the end thing, Jomo told the motherfucker, said, well, you can educate, hate the enemy, but I'm your brother. I'll help you lead the revolution. Now I'm going to oppress you. Another example, Papa Doc in Haiti. Papa Doc in Haiti hated everything white. Man, you couldn't put this white paper in front of Papa Doc's face. But he moved all the white people out and he took over and be oppressed. He did, because of no education. And the people that had been educated, they just said that we don't hate the motherfucker white people, we hate the oppressor, whether he be white, black, brown, or yellow. So we got to know the educational program to find out what it's going to be in the finale. A lot of people, Jomo Kenyatta is called not never a revolutionary, but an ex-revolutionary. So is Papa Doc. They brought on a successful revolution. That thing in the Mau was a bitch. Bantu freedom fighters, all that kind of action. But what we're saying is that it's the end. That you don't judge Castro now. You can't do it. Nobody in this room could judge whether Castro's going to be a revolutionary or not. You know what I mean? We're talking about things, you know what I mean, with China, the People's Republic, and even at the stage they're in now, talking about even going on further into a communistic state. That's what we're talking about. Those are revolutionary. So we got to understand here the educational program that you have to be able to figure out whether it will go on the right lines, where the people will end up in a situation where they can be able to really control themselves. You understand what I'm saying? With no education, the people take this local foundation and start stealing money because they won't be really educated to why it's a people's thing anyway. You understand what I'm saying? With no education, you have neo-colonialism instead of colonialism, like you got in Africa now, like you got in Haiti. So what we're talking about is there has to be an educational program. That's very important. As a matter of fact, it's so important for us that a person has to go through 6 weeks of our political education before he can consider himself a member of the party, able to even run down ideology for the party. Why? Because if they don't have an education, then they're nowhere. You dig what I'm saying? They're nowhere because they don't even know why they're doing what they're doing. You might get people caught up in the emotionalist movement. You understand me? You might get them caught up in because they're poor and they want something. And then if they're not educated, they want more. And before you know it, they'll be capitalists. And before you know it, we have Negro imperialists.
The 10 points of the party platform were: 1. Freedom, the power to determine the destiny of the black and oppressed communities. 2. Full employment, give every person employment or guaranteed income. 3. End to robbery of black communities, the overdue debt of 40 acres and 2 mules as promised to ex-slaves during the Reconstruction period following the emancipation of slavery. 4. Decent housing fit for the shelter of human beings. The land should be made into cooperatives so that the people can build. 5. Education for the people that teaches the true history of blacks and their role in present-day society. 6. Free health care, health facilities which will develop preventative medical programs. 7. End to police brutality and murder of black people and other people of color and oppressed people. 8. End to all wars of aggression. The various conflicts which exist stem directly from the United States ruling circle. 9. Freedom for all political prisoners. Trials by juries that represent our peers. 10. Land, bread, housing, education, clothing, justice, peace, and community control of modern industry.
To talk about a revolutionary situation, you have to have people who are physically able to wage revolution, who are physically able to organize and physically able to do all that is done.
Yeah, but the question is more, how do you get there? Do you get there by confrontation, violence?
Oh, is that the question you were asking?
Yeah.
See, that's another thing. When you talk about a revolution, most people think violence, without realizing that the real content of any kind of revolutionary thrust lies in the principles and the goals that you're striving for, not in the way you reach them. On the other hand, because of the way this society is organized, because of the violence that exists on the surface everywhere, you have to expect that there are going to be such explosions. You have to expect things like that as reactions. If you are a black person and live in the black community all your life and walk out on the street every day seeing white policemen surrounding you, when I was living in Los Angeles, for instance, long before the situation in LA ever occurred, I was constantly stopped. No, the police didn't know who I was, but I was a black woman and I had a natural, and they, I suppose, thought that I might be a, quote, militant. And when you live under a situation like that constantly, and then you ask me, you know, whether I approve of violence. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense at all. Whether I approve of guns. I grew up in...
How did the Black Panther Party influence African Americans and blacks internationally? The largest effect the party had on African Americans is restoring a sense of camaraderie amongst not only Black people in the United States, but also Black people in the Western world and colonized areas in Africa. The symbol of the Black Panther logo represented the power, grace, and beauty that is within people of African descent. In addition to the logo, the Black Power Fist created a greater sense of family amongst Blacks. The Black Power Fist represented that one is a part of the movement. It was an understood mindset against white supremacy amongst Black people. This fist also was seen in the Olympics by John Carlos and during the resistance against South African apartheid. How did the Black Panther Party influence other social movements? We see examples of other social movements using aspects of the Black Panther movement, such as creating logos and physical representations to represent a mindset and goal, as well as build unity amongst the afflicted group. For example, the Gay Pride movement shows very close similarities to the Black Panther movement in terms of the flag and colors representing something that all LGBTQ people and their supporters can latch onto and show their support for the movement. What effects of the Black Panther movement do we see today? The similar youthful energy that started the Black Panther movement is alive and well in the Black Lives Matter movement today in the United States, and we're seeing much of the same attention on an international level in the new movement as we saw in the Black Panther movement. The strength in numbers and use of allies shows that young activists are using the blueprint that the Panthers laid decades earlier. The emphasis on Black pride and drawing parallels to Africa and idolizing Black beauty has become prevalent in evoking Black pride and progress. The Panthers inspired the next generation of young Black activists and are viewed as freedom fighters because most of them are either deceased, living in isolation, or currently serving lengthy prison sentences due to the immense harassment and unfair treatment they received from the United States government.
Ain't this what they've been waiting for? You ready? I used to pray for times like this, to rhyme like this, so I had to grind like that, to shine like this. In a matter of time I spent on some locked up shit in the back of the paddy wagon, cuffs locked on wrist. See my dreams unfold, nightmares come true. It was time to marry the game, and I said, yeah, I do. If you want it, you gotta see it with a clear eye view. Got shorty, she tryna bless me like I said I chew. Like a nigga sneeze, nigga please for them trick and squeeze, I'm getting cream. Never let them hoes get in between of what we started. Little nigga, but I'm lying hearted. They love me when I was stuck and they hated when I departed. I go and get it regardless. Draw it like I'm an artist, no crawling. Went straight to walking with foreigns in my garages. Are foreign bitches menaging, fucking sucking and swallowing anything for $1. They tell me get him, I got him. I did it without an album. I did shit with Mariah. Little nigga, I'm on fire. Icy as a hockey ring, Philly nigga, I'm flyer. When I bought the Rolls Royce, they thought it was lease. Then I bought that new Ferrari, hey, to rest in peace. Hey, to rest in peace to the parking lot. Phantom so big, can't even fit in the parking spot. You ain't talking about my niggas, then what you talking about? Gangsters move in silence, nigga, and I don't talk.